Hey everybody, this is Grace, and I was just videoing myself, trying to get myself in the picture, and I haven't in a long while, probably a year, maybe two, and but it looked so Funhouse mirror. I used my camera. Okay, it's an Android and it's a Samsung. It just does that. It's got that Funhouse mirror. I've known that about. Different things do that, and I just don't like the distortion. It's just not me. But one of the things I was going to say about it in this video, I'm going to talk about different things. Like dysfunctional families and narcissistic types and histrionic types, not diagnosing anybody, this kind of behaviors that, as I see them, and I could be wrong. Read the disclaimer in the description box below this video on YouTube. Anyway, I think I mentioned this recently. I heard a woman who said that anybody who does videos, and YouTube is not the only place people do videos. Anybody who does videos and doesn't show their face in their videos, that they are narcissistic or narcissist, I think she said, trolls, haters, and all that. And I've heard people say that if you don't have your face in your thumbnail, yeah, then the same, basically the same. Now, and I had questioned this too, and let's see how that sounds. How it sounds to have it a little bit reversed. Who or what type would really like seeing themselves, a reflection of themselves? Like in the pond, or was it a lake, or a video? See, it doesn't sound that great, does it, when it's turned around? Which one would be closer to the truth? Well, really none. But, yeah, or maybe so. Think about it for a minute. Especially the ones who are driving down the road. I mentioned this too. And they're traveling, and, they're travelers. They're people like, that's what people watch their videos for. But quite often, they show them themselves. They flip it around to where they're in the video. And, well, people are watching, they want to see where you're going. They don't want to see you. They've seen you before. But you get the gist, right? I mean, just quit labeling so quickly. Oh, if they don't show their face. Yeah. Anyway, I've said that in videos before. But this one, okay, I'm gonna move to this. I was just thinking about this, and I may have told the story a while back. This is about the mother-in-law type. Okay, I think I have. And it's on my mind recently for more than one reason. Now, earlier today, I told a story about Stephen the Stalker. Yeah, and I said his name in it, and I didn't mean to say his name. He's passed on. He's not alive. So no family members that are left either. And anyway, I told a story about him, and he was a man who at one point I dated him, but then he became a stalker, like I said, and it was about for 4.5 years. Well, before him, this is after my divorce, and all that, and I had dated another man, and he's passed too. Yeah, no, I'm not a black widow spider. Black widow, I think they call it. Yeah, I think it's called. But he, and I dated this other guy, and his mother, oh my goodness, and it came up recently, and again, in my life. His mother was just one of those who had to have everything done her way, and she had to be the one telling you what to do. She infantilized, treated people like a child. She treated him like a child. He was in his, I think, early 40s. I think I was in my late 30s at the time, and somewhere around there. And she treated him like a child. She thought she was going to treat me like one too, like her child. And I remember her saying around that time that she was 63. And I remember then I thought 63 was really old, but she didn't act old. And I don't see it that way anymore. I wasn't going to say it, but these days people do. I did a video on that too. Some people, not everybody, of course, some people just think it's okay to say, oh, that's old. Really. But Anyway, she was a mean woman, okay, and she just had an attitude, like I said, an attitude about herself. She, you know that you can't see me do it, but you know they kind of raise their nose up and shake their head and you know, act as though they're sitting on a throne. Yeah, a little bit of histrionic behavior, don't you think? Maybe. But that kind, an air of superiority. And she wasn't. There was nothing about her that I saw as superior. But she thought she was mine. And she and her husband had both been in the military. I don't remember which area. But she had that attitude. You know, she was superior. Well, I let her know she wasn't, and she did not like that at all. But anyway, I don't remember how long he and I had been dating, but he had been in the hospital. That's the story, if you remember, or if I told it, was when I had to, at one point, OPC him, and get him in the hospital, go before a judge, and I don't want to ever have to do that in my life ever again. Take away somebody's rights. It was either death or take away his rights. And of course I chose that he was going to live. So it's just not something that, I mean, if somebody, of course I would choose life, you know, if I had to again. But it's just not something that's that great to do, take away somebody's freedom. So, but I had to. So, and when I did, the whole big story was that his mother, they weren't coming up here to take him to the hospital. He wouldn't go. He had busted his head on a, what do they call, around the fireplace on the bottom, on those bricks, and busted it, and had fluid around his skull. And I kept trying to get him into the hospital. He refused to go. And you can't take somebody to the hospital here. That's kidnapping. An adult, if they're not willing to go. At least it was what was then, and that's what I was told. So I had to go before a judge and all that and get him in. It was a long process all around me even finding out that that's what I needed to do. Okay, I'm pretty sure I told this recently. I don't know. I have more than one channel, and I can't remember which ones I put what on some of the time. Anyway, pardon the blinker. I don't even know why I turned it on. This woman was pretty bad, and basically she found out that he went to the hospital. I got him in the hospital, and they came up, she and her husband, and she found out that he had a $250,000 life insurance policy, and it was in her name, well, their name. And I had lived there for over 6 months, and in Texas I could have been considered, from what I heard back then, his common law wife, and I would have gotten it if he had died. So she went through all kinds of things. She did all sorts of things to try to. Some of his friends told me that, because, you know, told me to claim his common law wife. But I'll get to that. Anyway, she did everything she could to ensure, to try to get rid of me, not kill me, but try to get rid of me. Try to show me that I was not anybody in his life. And like I said, his friends, they didn't really like me, but they were his friends. It was females, and they knew that his ex-wife had power of attorney, medical power of attorney. She had been in the military as a nurse, and way up there too. And they didn't like her. They thought that she would try to do anything possible to have him not survive. Okay, being in the hospital. He was in the hospital, I think it was 61 days, and 45 of which he was, whichever one it is, non-responsive or unresponsive, I don't know. They had to do sternum rubs and stuff like that just to get him to somewhat come back. But anyway, it was awful. And on top of it, his mother was making it even worse, because she wanted to ensure that I wouldn't, I mean, I don't know what her logic was. Do we ever know what their logic is? But somehow, you know, she thought that it would work, that I would go away. But and she even tried to make it to where I couldn't go there, and the hospital told her and his friends that became evil. They were always evil. But they, you know, except for that thing that they wanted, yeah. Anyway, the hospital told them all that I will not be the one to leave because I was his norm, his normal, and if they kept pushing it, they were going to be the ones that weren't allowed in the hospital to see him at all, to see him. So the hospital had it down. They figured out these crazy women. Anyway, I had when I first met him. But anyway, so he was in the hospital. After which I had to, I was the one watching him. And his parents left and they came back and they brought their travel trailer. They were from Corpus, and this was in just north of Dallas, and both in Texas. It's a long drive. It's long. And then they came back and they had their travel trailer. They parked it outside of his house, and his mother just did all kinds of things. It's small, petty. It shouldn't make any difference, but it was the purpose, as I've said so many times. The purpose or the reason or the control they want. And what she wanted was control. And some of the things like really petty. I'm standing in the kitchen. It has an island, and I'm making a sandwich, okay, for us. And she comes in there, and some mayonnaise and the bread and whatever kind of meat and whatever else that was going on it. I had them, taking them out of the refrigerator or wherever they were located, and mayonnaise in the refrigerator, put it on top of the counter and everything else. And no, that was not how I was supposed to do it. To her, I was supposed to take each individual part of the sandwich out of the refrigerator, close the refrigerator door after I had that one, walk over, put it on my sandwich or the sandwiches, walk back, put it back in the refrigerator, get another one, shut the door. It's like you crazy bitch, really. If that's what you do, you're a little bit on the crazy side. That's how I felt about her. Quite a bit on the crazy side as I got to know her. But she wanted that power. She wanted that control. She wanted to tell me how to do things. And I'm thinking, yeah, like a crazy person. And, petty. And another one was they had their, like I said, their RV, their travel trailer RV outside, and I'm inside, and day or night, whatever it is. I live in a suburb of Dallas. This is not small town. It's not at all. It's a big city kind of area. And I would lock the doors. Oh, that infuriated her. She was from Corpus. She wasn't from a small town either. Okay, but it made her so furious because she felt like she had, could come in the house anytime she wanted to, and then there would be no barrier because she is the top dog. That's how she felt. Alpha female, I guess. She was messing with the wrong woman. I'm laughing now. Didn't laugh so much. That was many years ago. Didn't laugh so much back then. Well, how many? Almost 20? Yeah. And, but I let her know. She did not have free reign in the house. This is where I live. Or I don't know if I was living there. I think I had left. Yeah, I'd moved out. And, but that's where I was going to be staying. The hospital had, I had OPC'd him, and the hospital said that he's still in my care. And, so I had to be there. I knew all this, pretty much, except for some of it. Like I said, I had to find out that's what I had to do, the way it was done overall. And so I had to be there. I had to be, watch him. I had to save his life a couple times after he was back home, because he was choking, and because of his health conditions and everything. I knew what to do and all that. And so a couple times. So if I hadn't been in the house, they were so self-centered, his parents. And mainly his mom and his dad just kind of went along with her. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. Okay, so it was a good thing that I was in there. Like I said, his mother's whole focus during a lot of it was his life insurance policy. And eventually, a few years after that, I guess, or a year or so, he wound up going back and living with his mom. He never really recovered, and to make the rest of the story. But yeah, she did all these things, and then eventually she did get his life insurance policy. I was not going to say that I was his common law wife. and all that, to say, in the hospital as it is, they said that they would not listen to anybody, no matter what anybody, these outsiders said about his health, because I think they thought that his whole family, was crazy, and so was his ex-wife. So really, wow, what a group. I don't know if I'm going to end this here or go on, but I'm going to get home right now.